Hello and welcome once again to Storytime with Doge. Today's Storytime comes from the Guardian's own Michael White, and it is entitled, Suspend the Right-Wing Tory MP Philip Davies? No way. He'd love it. Condemnation is fine, but understanding where his idiotic remarks about women came from is also important.
No, you don't! You furry reprobate! You'll not get your memes and meat pies all over this one. I know good people when I see them, and this man is good people. Look at that regal countenance, that debonair magnificence. How dare you steal his words away and defile them with your furry faggotry? I shall now do the honours of reciting this article in the appropriate mother tongue. Ahem. Should the right-wing MP, Philip Davies, be suspended from the Conservative Party for making idiotic remarks about women at a knuckle-draggers conference in London? Some say so, but I'm not convinced he should. The self-styled libertarian backwoodsman from Shipley didn't break the law, and routinely makes comments and speeches that are offensive or stupid. Rarely is a Daily Mail outrage story not rendered slightly more ridiculous by the presence of a rent-a-quote from Phil. He's one of those MPs, they exist in all parties, whose quoted support reliably undermines a case. Davies' freedom of speech is worth defending, both in abstract terms, of course, but also in practical terms. The Brexit majority should remind us all. There's a lot of voters out there feel disenfranchised by the language in which Westminster politics is conducted and the reality-based policy parameters that constrain it. In the age of Donald Trump and his kind, a model that exists in most advanced countries, Davies is a post-fact MP. The kind who will soon get cross when Theresa May's magic wand doesn't get us out of Europe or open a grammar school in every village by Christmas. But people like that deserve representation in Parliament, not least because, like UKIP MEPs, they serve to remind the majority just how useless they usually are at actually doing anything, rather than moaning about it all being unfair and the fault of Johnny Foreigner, or Johnny Brit in the case of left-wing moaners. Nigel Farage, swanning off to appear on Big Brother and become a radio shock jock. Doesn't he realise radio audiences won't be able to admire his new moustache? Perfectly exemplifies the posturing tendency. These are the ones never around to help with the washing up. In fairness to Nigel, the weekend leak of Liam Fox's moan about beastly Boris Johnson, Liam has form in the Telegraph leaking department, hints at a higher level of showboating irresponsibility to come. When he stepped into hot water, Davies was speaking at a Justice for Men and Boys conference at the XL Centre in London. It sounds like a feeling sorry for ourselves sort of outfit, opposed to sex discrimination legislation, authors of Lying Feminist of the Month awards, opponents of more women in the boardroom. Its founder, the former Tory Mike Buchanan, has formed outraging consensus with comments attacking feminism. It's not as if society is dominated by women, even if a second Tory woman is now Prime Minister. Terrible things still happen to women because they're women. In the workplace, on social media, in the street, and in the home. In the courts too, Phil, where too many women go to jail for pitiful offences. Family courts may be a different matter, but not as lethal as family honour killing. But the overall direction of travel is clear. Unless President Trump means more than 5% of what he says, women are on the up in very large numbers, and the world is changing as a result. As the great Dolly Parton said in a weekend interview, women are so much smarter than men in high places. We work extra hard to prove it. We have to. She won't get into trouble for that, or face a boycott in Nashville, will she? There are more women in the cabinet and boardroom, but not yet enough. And women's dominance of the university entrance level grows every year. Only the other day, a female judge, whom a loutish justice for men and boys type called a bit of a cunt, replied, "You are a bit of a cunt yourself," before sending him down. Quite deplorable in a judge, but I hugely enjoyed it. In mitigation, the incident did happen in Essex. Whether or not Patricia Lynch QC is professionally ticked off for her retaliatory lapse, the Tory papers, the ones which always print C******, got excited. It is yet another reminder that we live in culturally confusing times, when university students, routinely exposed to more sex and violence via the internet than previous generations could imagine, demand safe spaces from things they deem threatening. When the pioneering feminist Germaine Greer, of all people, almost gets banned from a campus for her unacceptable views on transgender, surely something unhealthy is happening. Having been forced to think harder about transgender issues by incidents such as this one, I unexpectedly came to the conclusion that Greer, whom I greatly admire, was wrong, and that gender identity is much more variable than we once accepted in a binary world. The Olympics provide a topical setting where these issues can't be ducked, as we will see in the South African runner Caster Semenya's formidable presence in the 800 metres heats on Wednesday. Semenya has male levels of testosterone, but they're natural. There's more of it about than most of us realised. All of which must add to the confusion for many boys and young men, even for old fartonians of a nostalgic frame of mind like Davis, whom I remember passionately defending smokers' rights against the ban in public places. Stale cigarette smoke now seems like antiquity, doesn't it? Yet we put up with it most of my life. Nowadays, teenage girls and women smoke and drink almost as much as boys and men, and pay the accompanying health price. That's one gap closing in men's favour. It must be especially hard for young men from poor backgrounds, without educational opportunities or the traditional options of secure industrial jobs that were commonplace among older men. Now the modern apprentice schemes can be dominated by motivated young women, though not yet in engineering. No wonder they go out and vote for glib, often nasty politicians, or for idiots like Justice for Men and Boys, if they vote at all. Condemnation of Davis's silliness is fine, but understanding why people say such things is surely an important part of the response, more than a suspension, which Davis would probably relish as martyrdom. So the middle-aged lawyer, whose misplaced compliment angered his fellow barrister Charlotte Proudman, 27, on social media, was symptomatic of a problem. But so was Proudman's both barrels response. It was all far, far worse in Granny's day, as the doughty Joan Bakewell remarked at the time. As the original thinking man's crumpet, Lady Bakewell should know. Social progress has winners, but it also has losers, who have feelings too. There! That's far more like it than whatever submammalian cacophony you were broiling up. I know what you're up to, and I won't stand by while you make honest, decent journalists look silly. Stick that in your food pipe and churn my butter, young scallywags.
Thank you for joining us once again on this episode of Storytime with Doge.
Brian.
Yes, Stapler?
Brian.
Yes.
I think something went wrong with your stream.
What?